All right, welcome back. The Waqf Amendment Bill 2025 has been tabled in the Lok Sabha by Union Minister for Minority Affairs, Kiren Rijiju. Kiren Rijiju has revealed that India is home to the largest Waqf holding in the world, with the Waqf Board forming the country's third largest landowner share, after only the Indian Armed Forces and Railways, that is. India has over 8 lakh registered Waqf properties spread over as countless acres, with boards across the country also staking claim to other major properties over the years. With the push for property reform through the proposed bill, let's delve into some key statistics regarding Waqf properties across India. We will also be showing you a closer look at some of the most shocking Waqf property claims, which are in fact going to be playing along on the side of the screen. But let me in fact introduce our guest for the next half an hour. Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, joins us on the show. Savio Rodriguez, BJP leader, is also with us on the program. Mr. Athar Zia, Impar panelist, joins us on the show. And last but by no means the least, Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, joins us on the show as well. Sumit, I'll begin with you. Well, first of all, the day has finally arrived. You know, the Waqf bill was in fact proposed. It was documented as well as worked upon in 2024. The Parliament is going to vote for it today in just a few hours. But, you know, there are issues with the Waqf bill that the opposition has also in fact mentioned today. They are very articulate about the fact that this is just being done so that, you know, the people of the country could be deflected from the main issues, which of course include inflation, unemployment, and of course right down to what happened in the Kumbh Mela. Mr. Gogoi went on to say that this is an exercise which has been done by the Congress party, it's done by the UPA, it was done right after independence as well, for the sake of diversity and inclusiveness. But the fact of the matter is that the Waqf has misused this autonomy that they've had for decades now, and it was about time that something like this was done. Why do you think there is opposition to it? And you know, through the ruckus in the crowd, the one word that everybody could make out was Tushtikaran, that is appeasement. Sumit.
Vineet, thank you very much for having me on your show. A brilliant question. You know, the first thing is that why opposition is crying today? Because opposition stands exposed. And out of all the India Alliance opposition, there's one person, when I realize him, my heart cries. That is Uddhav Bhav Thackeray, the son of Hindu Hriday Samrat Bala Saheb Thackeray. What is he doing with India Alliance? And why he is opposing it? That is beyond my comprehension. And I really pity this day to see this such a event in our lifetime. Now coming to some facts about the bill. First of all, the Constitution says we all are equal. Why there's a special Waqf, special board, special provision for the Muslim community? Do Muslims have 2 votes and you and me have 1 and Savio has half and Gautam has 1.5? No, we all have 1 vote. So why do Muslims have this special provision? Point number 2, when the country was divided in 1947, Muslims got Pakistan, right or wrong, but that was done. They got the Pakistan, they got the money. Why do you want to have this perpetual Pakistan in making? Why does Waqf have the 3rd highest land banks in the world? In India, sorry, and there is nothing like parallel to that to anywhere in the world. Railway runs rails. What does the Waqf one run? By the way, I don't know. Do they run these hyperloops? If it's that, please educate me. Point number 4, the properties have gone multiple times to the magnitude after Congress gave them these sweeping powers by Section 40. Point number 5, this was always a Muslim appeasement politics of Congress, and Congress stood by it because they wanted their Muslim vote bank to win elections. Point number 7, Vineet, how can you assume, presume and say this is a Waqf property, and me as a citizen, if you put a finger on my property, I cannot go to the High Court, I cannot go to the Sessions Court, I cannot go to the Supreme Court. There is no legal recourse for me. I have to go to a Waqf tribunal. So is Waqf tribunal over the Constitution and Supreme Court and High Court of India is a law within the India spirit than the Indian law? Point number 8, if there's a piece of government land which it belongs to the government of India, now if Waqf Board puts a finger on it, you know what, where Honorable Prime Minister or Honorable our President Ms. Murmu have to go? They have to go and appeal to the Waqf Tribunal for that land. Bhai baap, mujhe mari zameen de do. Now let me come to the another aspect of thing. There is a National Law Tribunal, there's a Green Tribunal, but there is only one tribunal in India which is above Supreme Court, above High Court and above Constitution of India, that is the Waqf Tribunal. There is no other tribunal in India which has so sweeping powers. Point number 9, there is a temple and a town in Tamil Nadu, 1500 years old. And according to Waqf, that is their property, while Islam is 1400 years old. Mukesh Ambani's Antilla is their property, and by the way, Siddhi Vinayak is their property. The Assembly of Calcutta, where it is, that is their property, and the list is endless. There are thousands of cases pending. Like that, and point number 10, if you talk of places of worship act, Vineet, There's a ceiling. 60 saal, 70 saal. Beyond that, you cannot go. But for Waqf, there is no limit. You can go to 300 years, you can go to 600 years. Let me ask you, by the virtue of that, there was a 600-year period where Muslims and Mughals ruled India. By that logic, the whole of India can be a Waqf property. Now, are we waiting for a Sri Tirupati Balaji to be declared as a Waqf property, Sri Vaishno Devi to be declared as a Waqf property? In fact, they did a mistake. They should have declared Ram Mandir as a Waqf property. That way, there was no need of a High Court or a Supreme Court. It could have been settled at a tribunal only. What are we talking beneath? By that logic, where you are living, where your studios, where I am living, this can be declared as a Waqf property, and we as citizens have no rights. I think this is a historical wrong. This was dividing the country. This was dividing peace and harmony.
Let me get Athar into this conversation to respond to you. Athar, this is a historical wrong, and it was about time that it was corrected. And Sumit has made some valid points that the autonomy, as well as the iron clutch with which the Waqf was in fact taking properties or taking possession of properties is not only wrong but unjustified.
Yeah, Vineet, it is fine, but there are a lot of misperception about it also. You see, if you combine all the trusts like Kashi Vishwanath Trust, the Kayas Trust, and the South Indians, there are at least 100,000 trusts of mandirs, and like Vaishno Devi Trust and all the trusts, if you combine, their land bank will be much more than what Waqf Board has. The SGPC, Sikh Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee, they have the kind of assets and the budget which you combine 3-4 estates, and their budget and their assets exceeds that. So same way as the Christians and the Jains, they have their own trust, and there is no interference of the government, and it is managed by the community itself. What is required basically in the amendment of the Waqf Board is the accountability and the auditing of the funds which is generated by the Waqf assets, and where it is being used. Is it used for the benefit of the downtrodden irrespective of religion? Is it used for which it is meant, or is it grabbed and used for the personal benefit of the Waqf, of the people who are just at the helm of the affair of the Waqf Board assets? Basically, that should be the spirit. As far as Vineet is saying, nobody can claim any property as a Waqf property. Who will claim? I cannot claim. Any Waqf Board can't claim. There are certain disputed properties for which there is an ongoing litigation in the higher courts. Like if you talk about Ambani's, it is in the court, and it is in the higher court, not in the tribunal. I'm just informing him, and law of the land will decide. It has to be certain documentation, certain properties. Basically, it has to be rationalized. But the problem is that, like I will give you an example of Kashi Vishwanath Mandir Trust, which is a government controlled trust, whereby a provision is there that in the trust there will be 4 or 5 ex officio members who will be the directors and managing the trust, but none could be non-Hindu. Even if a collector is incidentally Muslim, the second in line, there is no harm in it. So basically, the spirit should be that the corruption and the mismanagement of the trust, which could be very well utilized for the poor, for the exploited, is not being done. So that spirit should be done, and government regulation in terms of accountability and auditing and professional asset management should be done, keeping in view the spirit for which it has been donated by the people of their own earning. The Waqf properties is not that very long. Everybody has done a bit and that, and 150 years, 200 years. My grandfather donated a lot of properties to work for the benefit of teaching and education. So it is being misutilized by the people who are there at the helm of the affair.
But that's
So
exactly
that is a different issue.
what is being changed there. Savio, how do you respond to what Athar has said, that there are other religious bodies as well, which have land and property? Why isn't the state or the center looking at modifying how they operate? And the AIMPLB has also said that the bill is based on discrimination and injustice, and this is in fact against the fundamentals and the provisions of the Constitution. Savio.
And 73.
Savio, that's for you.
Thank you, Vineet. To all the panelists that are here, let's understand the beauty of what the Waqf Amendment Bill is all about. Stands with the new name, whose acronym is basically UMEED. UMEED is hope that everything within the Waqf Amendment Bill will work towards ensuring that the people within the Indian Muslim community are happy and satisfied with the new changes and the provisions that have been added to the amendment bill. Now, why does one bring out the issue of the temples or the churches and all that? In that context, why not look at the fact that the temples in India at this point of time are government controlled? All the monies that are raised inside temples are controlled by the government of that particular state. And that's not something that is there with the mosques or the churches or any other places of worship. It is with the temples. So you might find a point to point out and turn it communal. But the most important aspect is that the Waqf Board is a representative of the Muslim community at large. And the responsibility of those within the Waqf Board is to utilize these trust and the trust land that is available for the encouragement and the social upliftment of the people of the Muslim community. Now, one of the main interesting aspects of this bill is the ability for women to play a more stronger and a more assertive role as far as the Waqf Board is concerned, and that is something that needs to be appreciated. I don't think the government of India in any form, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is working against the Muslim. The intent is to make the Muslim community more inclusive so that the larger community and not certain sections of the trust benefit out of the Waqf Board properties or the benefits that the trust have, but the entire community. Now look at one of the areas that require immediate attention in the Muslim community is the ability to ensure that women in the communities are empowered, women in the communities are more educated, women in the communities get an opportunity to work. But
Savio, sorry to interject. The biggest allegation against this, the way the Waqf Board has operated, is the fact that they have usurped these properties arbitrarily, randomly, sporadically, and on an ad hoc basis, and that's the reason why this bill is being constituted.
Yes, that's one aspect of it. But that aspect of it is governed by the laws that have come up in the amendment bill right now. But the most important thing is, why would the government want to do something like this? The government wants the amendment of the Waqf bill. If you look at the other initiatives we've done for the Muslim community, is to work towards upliftment and ensuring the rights of the people of the Muslim community are given to them, and they actually work cohesively. It is not in the control of certain people who sit at the heads of the Waqf Board and decide that the woman or the vulnerable in the Muslim community will follow the dictates of a particular leader or a clerical leader on the top or a trustee on the top, rather than what the government has in terms of how each and every citizen of this country needs to move ahead. Therefore, I believe that the government also, when it's controlling the temples of the Hindus, must also make those, if the Muslim community believes that the money that they get out of their beliefs and their land or their institutions, or the Christians of their institutions, which don't really are not accountable for their money with the government, because the Hindu temples are controlled by the government, then we should make that free for everybody. Why is it that the Hindu temples are controlled by the government? The idea is that the government, keeping that aside, keeping the religion aside, it is the community that needs to benefit from religious institutions or organizations like the Waqf Board. And I think that is what I believe Prime Minister Modi is addressing.
Okay, all right, Gautam. Obviously, there is a lot of improvement that the board could use at this point in time. But the fact of the matter is that, 8 hours have been allotted to this entire argument today, and most of
Can
the
I
arguments.
come in for a minute?
Wait, Athar, I'll come to you. You can't interject like this, Athar. Come on, I'm in the middle of framing my question. Don't do this, please. Gautam, the fact of the matter is that the opposition has mostly pivoted the religious, the appeasement, and the discrimination angle while trying to oppose the Waqf bill. Now, what is wrong with the functioning of something in a better fashion? What is wrong with basically consolidating all the flaws of a particular organization and making it constitutionally watertight?
Well, Vineet, if you've been listening to the debate, for once there is a debate, not a walkout
Correct.
or a
That's
dharna.
a great point, yeah.
So that by itself shows that they've realized the opposition that is opposed to the Waqf bill, because many parts of the opposition are not. They've realized that the dharna and the disturbances and the walkouts and the street marches and arson and looting and mayhem have their limitations. They're realizing that they're losing more and more ground by the day electorally. As far as the Waqf Board goes, very interestingly, a couple of days back, I was listening to the head of the Chishti Dargar. He very interestingly was wearing a saffron turban and a saffron scarf and said, my own land has been, harapped by the Waqf Board. And he posed the question, what have they done for anyone? Is there a school, a hospital, a charity organization, a university? Is there anything at all? No. There's Waqf land right here in Delhi where I go to buy plants. Now, this is a large area in Jorbag, which has been taken over by certain influential Muslims. And what are they doing? They're running a private business in plants. They've been doing this for at least 20 years, because I've been going there for at least 20. Who's pocketing the money? They are. Where are the poor involved? There aren't any. If they've got any Bihari Malis, they're not Muslims. So this is the corruption of the Waqf. When you look at other religious organizations which may have large land banks, and notwithstanding what Savio said about the Hindu ones being controlled by the government and they taking a lot of the money, the fact is every single one of them are doing something for their communities. I know this for a fact, but it's the Muslims themselves who cannot point to a single activity conducted by the Waqf for the benefit of the Muslims, the poor Muslims or any Muslims.
Okay,
there
all
are few
right.
people who
Athar wants to come in. Okay, Athar wants to respond to you. Athar, go ahead.
Yeah. First thing I wanted to respond is that he is absolutely right that nothing is being done for the downtrodden, Muslims or not Muslims. First is that. Now the problem is that this vast asset of Waqf is basically totally unexploited, underutilized. The second point is that in masjid or gurdwara, lot of fund is generated because the worshippers and the people who come there, they donate. But in Muslims, in Islam, in masjid, nothing is being donated while coming to there. So there is no generation of income. You will not find a single mosque where there is an income of even 1 lakh rupees a month, even the biggest one. So there is no money. Only thing which Waqf has is the land bank, which is either they are being rented on a petty rent that is 100 rupees, 200 rupees.
So Athar, let me get this straight. So basically, Athar, you concur with the fact that this needs to change. You concur with the fact that there are reforms that are necessary when it comes to the Waqf Board. I can't hear you. Okay, Sumit, we have a paucity of time. I saw your hand go up. Please make your point.
I want to make 4 or 5 quick points. You know,
Quick.
good friend Athar has put a lot of points. Let me take this opportunity to answer him. First thing is, you talked about Mata Vaishno Devi Trust. Let me do a comparison between Mata Vaishno Devi Trust or Tirupati Balaji Trust with the Waqf Board. So does Tirupati Balaji Trust can point a finger at my property and claim it is mine? Can Tirupati Balaji say there's a 1600-year-old temple in Tamil Nadu, it's theirs? If you have a problem against the Tirupati Balaji Trust, can you go to High Court? Yes. Can you go to Supreme Court? Yes. Does any disputes with the vis-a-vis Tirupati Balaji Trust or Mahavaishnavi Devi Trust be decided by the tribunal? Does any barren piece of land
that amendment should
called
be
by
there,
Tirupati
that all
Balaji
the
Trust as
disputes
their
should
own?
go to the court.
Do you
All
have
the
the Supreme Court
disputes should
jurisdiction
go
on
to High
Tirupati
Court and
Balaji
Supreme
Trust or
Court.
not? Does
I agree.
Tirupati Balaji Trust is under the CAG's audit or not?
Nobody
Is it
can-
above the law?
nobody
Is it
can
above the
pinpoint
constitution?
your property
Does
or you
Tirupati
can.
Balaji Trust have the third highest
No,
land
no,
bank
no,
in
no.
India?
It's not
Does it
a
have it?
fact.
Does Tirupati and Vinny, there is one myth which has to be shattered. Waqf board is only for Muslims. It has nothing to do with non-Muslims. Let's get it out of the window. Second thing is, if for last 75 years Waqf board could not do anything for Muslims, which we agree on this panel, how are they going to do the magic now? If you keep on doing the same thing for next 75 years,
So the law should address that.
as
The
a
law should
conflict of
address
interest.
that.
It is
that
about
what
the
the law
land
is
grab.
addressing?
It's about the land grab.
that's exactly
And
what
by
the
that
law is
logic, we
addressing.
need one sentence. 600
That's
saal
what the law is
Supreme Court
addressing.
ruling here, we need. By that logic, they can claim whole of India's Waqf property और हम अपने देश में किराएदार हैं या तो किराया देंगे या जजिया देंगे. Is that what it is coming to? Should Hindus pay जजिया और किराया in their own देश? Because 600 over years back, it was all Waqf. It can be all called as Waqf. Nawab X demoted to Nawab Y, that's the end of the story. You have a time limitation of a place of worship act. For a Waqf act, you can go 600 years back, 700 years back, and still they can claim the land. What is happening?
All
I
right.
mean, you're kidding me?
Okay.
All right.
All right. We have a paucity of time, but nevertheless appreciated everybody who joined and weighed in on this important bill that was tabled in the Parliament. The arguments are still on. We're going to keep a close eye, our finger on the pulse of this development with every minute. We'll take a break. Be right back.